Change has come. It's at the door. Everything that was true isn't true anymore. In our hands is a broken crown, and the wars that we lose mean freedom now. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Let's dance into battle, start a revolution, turn the heartbreak into evolution. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, from the ashes. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Keep marching on. 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 Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance, a chance, a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance to begin again. Every ending is a chance. Every ending is a chance to begin again.
The plan for living life, playing the game of life. Rules to the game of life. You will receive a body. You will learn lessons. There are no mistakes, only lessons. A lesson will be repeated until it is learned. Learning lessons does not end. There is no better than here. Others are merely mirrors of you. What you make of your life is up to you. Life is exactly what you think it is. Your answers lie inside you. You will forget all of this. You can remember it whenever you want. Mastering ourselves, being our best selves. My power, my control. Mind, body, soul, which is thoughts, wills, the things you say, and emotions. Principles: learn, grow, teach, help. Foundation: love, health, wealth, happiness. Rules: respectful, safe, responsible. Being a champion, one day at a time. Having accountability, accept responsibility for actions and performance. Culture, living our values, mastering ourselves, body, mind, soul. Excellence, being our best selves by efficiency and productivity. Leveling up in life, showing up for yourself, focus on yourself, core values, decisions, goals, and behavior. Live by, no excuses, take ownership, empower yourself to do better and be more for you. Many are here to help us be the best version of ourselves through learning and development. 2, I'm willing to do the work and you are willing to do the work. The first step to empowering you is creating a structure that helps you eliminate excuses through clarity of responsibility and process. Being a champion to create winning is by having a desire to be the best version of yourself and empowering you to do so daily. Having a better world that is a champion world is that it takes all of us. Everything is energy, vibration, and frequency, which is inside of us all and all around us. What is your energy? Low vibration or high vibration? Low vibration. Empathy, victim, helplessness, blame, negative self-talk, worry, hatred, anger, fear. High vibration. Hopefulness, courage, acceptance, happiness, self-love, gratitude, positive self-talk, trust, knowledge, abundance, forgiveness, unconditional love. Mastering ourselves. Lust, intense desire or craving, greed, excessive selfish desire. Gluttony, excessive consumption. Pride, excessive self-importance. Sloth, laziness, empathy. Envy, desiring what someone else has. Wrath, extreme anger. The unseen laws, spiritual laws you must respect. Core unseen laws. Law of reciprocity, which what you send out, energy, thoughts, actions, returns amplified. Law of authority. Spirits only respect those who know who they are. If you're confused, they dominate. Law of resonance. You attract what matches your vibration. Purity equals clear outcomes. Law of timing. Some doors open only in divine timing. Forcing it equals punishment or delay. Law of spiritual debt. Every lie, scam, or shortcut leaves a karmic invoice until it's paid by pain or repentance. It blocks flow. Law of access. Sharing sacred things with unworthy people gives dark forces access to you. Guard your spiritual intimacy. Law of sacred exchange. Don't ask for something from spirit world without giving something. Prayers, food, fire, service, truth. Law of hidden eyes. Even when no one is watching, you are seen. All thoughts and deeds echo in the spirit realms. Everyone will get exactly what they choose. 3D earth. Fear, division, anger, control, hate, AI. 5D earth. Love, unity, peace, freedom, healing, consciousness. This is the great awakening. The most powerful thing you can do right now is to be patient with yourself while things are unfolding for you. Welcome, I'm Alisha Quinn, and today we are going to be talking about mind control. And, I'm here to take back my power over my mind, over my life, and my reality. and it is what I am truly doing. And I'm encouraging anyone who wants to go down that road and truly take their power back over their life and their minds and their reality to do such a thing because it's all within us. And so, going through this awakening journey and all the things to truly look into that have been going on. And when you come to mind control programs, there's all kinds of information out there on mind control programs and even subliminal messages, which I was aware of, through my former husband and some of the, subliminal type messages, right? But truly, coming to this point to be really aware of it, like, that they would just just for a brief second, way back when they started movie theaters and previews and stuff, that they would flash just for a tiny second, you could barely see it, of Coca-Cola, right? And then the people would start getting up to go get Coca-Cola, get a drink, right? And so it's very interesting to truly come to realize the real power over our minds, and that we have this power to either be programmed or even program ourselves. That, whatever you look at and focus on and put your attention on, and these things, it really does program you. And when you bring in like the educational system of things, which is more mind control, brainwashing type deal. We've looked at videos before, to create this world that has been created of, getting going to school, then getting a job, and on and on. So, really there's more to life than such a thing. And there is also this spiritual thing that's really going on within us with our thoughts and the things we say and our emotions and things that truly do create this world. And so, I looked at stuff on MK Ultra, which was a mind control program that the government was doing. And there is all kinds of information out here about such programs. And there's all kinds of information about people who have even come out of some of these mind control programs and stuff. And so it's very interesting to truly just think of the fact that there is this power of mind control and brainwashing, that you get born into this system of things to really keep people in these low consciousness vibrations, focusing on the past of things, which the school system does through various things, not just history, but what about repeating year after year Martin Luther King stuff, which is also a racism division thing that happens, right? I mean, this is all just this programming that, comes into us, that, there's a difference, we divide ourselves by race and these types of things. Because when you're a little kid, you're not divided by anything. And truly, when you come down to strip away all those titles and all those identities, we are all one. We are all a soul first having an experience. And so, truly, one of the spiritual laws, which is on my plan video that I play at the beginning of my podcast there, that, one of the unseen spiritual laws is that if you don't know who you are, others will control you or whatever, right? Others will take that advantage, really. And that's really the thing, is that if you really don't come to stepping into your own power and taking that power back to even program yourself for who you want to be. And because again, what we focus on and put our attention to, that's who we are. So if you want to be a person to fix things, guess what you do? You put your focus on those things, on the kinds of things that you want to fix. I mean, there's several things that you can end up learning about fixing. And, that becomes a part of your identity and part of your purpose, even. And if you put your focus on conspiracies, guess what you are? You are a conspiracy theorist. And truly, when you come down to it, that what we put our focus into, what we're looking at, is who we are. And to take back that power, because we have the free will, we have the power to take over our minds, our bodies, and our souls. We have the right to do so. And, if you put your focus on religion in the church, and I did that for many years, that's who I was. That's who I was. I was a Christian, and that's where my energy went to, my focus. And so when you really think of the educational thing, they really have a lot of things in there that you don't even truly even need to know about. Even my kid will say, oh, da 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 da, do you know this? And it's like, no, I don't know that. And he tells me, and it's like, oh, you know, I mean, it's just a BS game. And so it's part of the really the mind control to keep people trapped and in a box, really, to train them to get a job when they get older, right? I mean, that's the whole system that has been created here. And so let's go ahead and look at some stuff on mind control. All right, we're going to go to Wikipedia on brainwashing, which is also what came up for mind control. So, brainwashing is the systematic effort to get someone All right, so we're going to look at this brainwashing, which came up Wikipedia for under mind control. So brainwashing is the systematic effort to get someone to adopt a particular deception, loyalty, instruction, or doctrine, using without being noticed. It is also a term that refers in general to psychological techniques that manipulate action or thought against a person's will, desire, or knowledge. It attempts to damage individual or group attitudes, frames of reference, beliefs, values, or loyalties by demonstrating that current thinking patterns and attitudes are wrong and need change. It is said to reduce its subject's ability to think critically or independently, to allow the introduction of new unwanted thoughts and ideas into their minds. The term brainwashing was first used in English by Edward Hunter in 1950 to describe how the Chinese government appeared The term brainwashing was first used in English by Edward Hunter in 1950 to describe how the Chinese government appeared to make people cooperate with them during the Korean War. Research into the concept also looked at Nazi Germany and present-day North Korea. At some criminal cases in the United States and at the actions of human traffickers, scientific and legal debate followed, as well as media attention about the possibility of brainwashing being a factor when LSD was used, or in the induction of people into groups which are considered to be cults. Brainwashing has become a common theme in popular culture, especially in war stories, thrillers, and science fiction stories. In casual speech, brainwashing and its verb form brainwash are used figuratively to describe the use of propaganda to sway public opinion. China and the Korean War. The Chinese term was originally used by early 20th century Chinese intellectuals to refer to modernizing one's way of thinking. The term was later used to describe the coercive persuasion used under the Maoist government in China, which aimed to transform reactionary people into right-thinking members of the new Chinese social system. The term punned on the Taoist custom of cleansing, washing the heart-mind before conducting ceremonies or entering holy places. The earliest known English language used of the word brainwashing in an article by a journalist, Edward Hunter, in Miami News, published in 1950. Hunter was an anti-communist and worked for the CIA. Hunter and others used the Chinese term to explain why during the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, some American prisoners of war cooperated with their Chinese captors and even in a few cases defected to their side. British radio operator Robert Ford and British Army Colonel James Carney also claimed that the Chinese subjected them to brainwashing techniques during their imprisonment. The U.S. military and government laid charges of brainwashing in an effort to undermine confessions made by POWs to war crimes, including biological warfare. After Chinese radio broadcasts claimed to, quote, Frank Swabel, Chief of Staff of the 1st Marine Air Wing, admitted to participating in germ warfare. United Nations Commander General Mark W. Clark asserted whether these statements ever passed the lips of these unfortunate men is doubtful. If they did, however, too familiar are the mind alienating methods of these communist in extorting whatever words they want. The men themselves are not to blame, and they have my deepest sympathy for having been used in this abominable way. Beginning in 1953, Robert J. Lifton interviewed American servicemen who had been POWs during the Korean War, as well as priests, students, and teachers who had been held in prison in China after 1951. In addition to interviews with 25 Americans and Europeans, Lifton interviewed 15 Chinese citizens who had fled after having been subjected to indoctrination in Chinese universities. Lifton's 1961 book, Thought Reform and the Psychological of Totalism, a study of brainwashing in China, was based on this research. Lifton found that when the POWs returned to the United States, their thinking soon returned to normal, contrary to the popular image of brainwashing. In 1956, after re-examining the concept of brainwashing following the Korean War, the U.S. Army published a report entitled Communist Interrogation, Indoctrination, and Exploitation of Prisoners of War, which called brainwashing a popular misconception. The report concludes that exhaustive research of several government agencies failed to reveal even one conclusive documented case of brainwashing of an American prisoner of war in Korea. Legal cases and the brainwashing defense. The concept of brainwashing has been raised in defense of criminal charges. The 1969 to 1971 case of Charles Manson, who was said to have been brainwashed his followers to commit murder and other crimes, brought the issue to renewed public attention. In 1974, Patty Hearst, a member of the wealthy Hearst family, when 19 years old, was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army, a left-wing militant organization. After several weeks of captivity, she agreed to join the group and took part in their activities. In 1975, she was arrested and charged with bank robbery and the use of a gun in committing a felony. Her attorney, F. Lee Bailey, argued in her trial that she should not be held responsible for her actions since her treatment by her captors was the equivalent of the alleged brainwashing of Korean War POWs. Bailey developed this case in conjunction with psychiatrist Louis Jolin West and psychologist Margaret Singer. They had both studied the experiences of Korean War POWs. In 1996, Singer published her theories in her best-selling book, Cults in Our Midst. Despite this defense, Hearst was found guilty. In 1990, Stephen Fishman, who was a member of the Church of Scientology, was charged with mail fraud for conducting a scheme to sue large corporations via conspiring with minority stockholders in shareholders' class action suits. Fishman's attorney notified the court that they intended to rely on an insanity defense, using the theories of brainwashing and the expert witnesses of Singer and Richard Offshee to claim that the Church of Scientology had practiced brainwashing on him, which left him unsuitable to make independent decisions. The court ruled that the use of brainwashing theories is inadmissible in expert witnesses, citing the Frey Standard, which states that scientific theories utilized by expert witnesses must be generally accepted in their respective fields. Since then, United States courts have consistently rejected testimony about mind control or brainwashing on the grounds that these theories are not part of accepted science under the Frey Standard. In 2003, the brainwashing defense was used unsuccessfully in defense of Lee Boyd Malvo, who was charged with murder of his part in the DC sniper attacks. Allegations of brainwashing have also been raised by plaintiffs in child custody cases. Thomas Andrew Green, in his 2014 book, Freedom and Criminal Responsibility in American Legal Thought, argues that brainwashing defense undermines the law's fundamental premise of free will. In 2003, forensic psychologist Dick Anthony said that no reasonable person would question that there are situations where people can be influenced against their best interest, but those arguments are evaluated based on fact, not bogus expert testimony. Anti-cult movement concept. In the 1970s and 1980s, the anti-cult movement applied the concept of brainwashing to explain religious conversions to some new religious movements and other groups that they considered cults. News media reports tended to accept their view, and social scientists sympathetic to the anti-cult movement, who were usually psychologists, revised models of brainwashing. While some psychologists were receptive to the concept, most Scientologists were skeptical of its ability to explain conversion. Some critics of Mormonism have accused it of brainwashing. Philip Zimbardo defined mind control as a process by which individual or collective freedom of choice and action is compromised by agents or agencies that modify or distort perception, motivation, affect, cognition, or behavioral outcomes. He suggested that any human being is susceptible to such manipulation. Benjamin Zablocki, late professor of sociology at Rutgers University, said that the number of people who attest to brainwashing in interviews performed in accordance with guidelines of the National Institute of Mental Health and National Science Foundation is too large to result from anything other than a genuine phenomenon. He said that in two most prestigious journals dedicated to the sociology of religion, there have been no articles supporting the brainwashing perspective, while over 100 such articles have been published in other journals marginal to the field. He concluded that the concept of brainwashing had been blacklisted. Ellen Barker criticized the concept of brainwashing because it functioned to justify costly interviews, inventions such as deprogramming or exit counseling. She has also criticized some mental health professionals, including Singer, for accepting expert witness jobs in court cases involving NRMs. Barker's 1984 book, The Making of a Mooney, Choice or Brainwashing, describes the religious conversion process to the Unification Church, whose members are sometimes informally referred to as Moonies, which have been one of the best-known groups said to practice brainwashing. Barker spent close to 7 years studying Unification Church members and wrote that she rejects the brainwashing theory because it does not explain why many people attended a recruitment meeting and did not become members, or nor why so many members voluntarily disaffiliate or leave groups. James Richardson said that if the new religious movements have access to powerful brainwashing techniques, one would expect that they would have high growth rates. Yet, in fact, most have not had notable success in recruiting or retaining members. For this and other reasons, sociologists of religion, including David Brumley and Anson Shupp, consider the idea that cults are brainwashing American youth to be implausible. Thomas Robbins, Massimo Introvine, Lorraine Dawson, Gordon Melton, Mark Galanter, and Saul V. Levine, amongst other scholars researching NRMs, have argued and established to the satisfaction of courts, relevant professional associations, and scientific communities that there exists no general accepted scientific theory based upon methodologically sound research that supports this concept of brainwashing. In 1999, forensic psychologist Dick Anthony criticized another adherent to this view, Jean-Marie Gabriel, for allegedly employing a pseudoscientific approach and lacking any evidence that anyone's worldview was sustainably charged by these coercive methods. He claimed that the concept and the fear surrounding it was used as a tool for the anti-cult movement to rationalize the persecution of minority religious groups. Additionally, Anthony, in the book Misunderstanding Cults, argues that the term brainwashing has such sensationalist connotations that its use is detrimental to any further scientific inquiry. In 2016, Israeli anthropologist of religion and fellow of the Van Leer Jerusalem Institute, Adam Kulinoran, said about then proposed anti-cult legislation, in the 1980s there was a wave of brainwashing claims, and then parliaments around the world examined the issue. Courts around the world examined the issues and reached a clear ruling that there is no such thing as cults, that the people making these claims are often not experts on the issue. And in the end, courts, including in Israel, rejected expert witnesses who claimed there is brainwashing. United States scientific research. For 20 years, starting in the early 1950s, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and the U.S. Department of Defense conducted secret research, including Project MKUltra, in an attempt to develop practical brainwashing techniques. These experiments ranged from electroshock therapy to high doses of LSD. The director, Sidney Gottlieb, and his team were apparently able to blast away the existing mind of a human being by using torture techniques. However, reprogramming in terms of finding a way to insert a new mind into that resulting void was not so successful. Controversial psychiatrist Colin A. Ross claims that the CIA was successful in creating programmable so-called Martian candidates even at the time. The CIA experiments using various psychedelic drugs such as LSD and mescaline drew from previous Nazi human experimentation. In 1979, John D. Marks wrote in his book, The Search for the Martian Candidate, that until the MKUltra program was effectively terminated in 1963, the agency's researchers had found no reliable way to brainwash another person, as all experiments at some stage also ended in their amnesia or catatonia, making any operational use impossible. A bipartisan Senate Armed Services Committee report released in part in December 2008 and in full in April 2009, reported that the U.S. military trainers who came to Guantanamo Bay in December 2002 had based an interrogation class on a chart copied from a 1957 Air Force study of Chinese communist brainwashing techniques used to elicit false confessions from American POWs during the Korean War. The report showed how the Secret Secretary of Defense's 2002 authorization of the aggressive techniques at Guantanamo led to their use in Afghanistan and in Iraq, including at Abu Ghraib. American Psychological Association. In 1983, the American Psychological Association asked Singer to chair a task force called the APA Task Force on Deceptive and Indirect Techniques of Persuasion and Control to investigate whether brainwashing or coercive persuasion did indeed control cult members. The task force concluded that cults and large group awareness trainings have generated considerable controversy because of their widespread use of deceptive and indirect techniques of persuasion and control. These techniques can compromise individual freedom, and their use has resulted in serious harm to thousands of individuals and families. On 11 May 1987, the APA's Board of Social and Ethical Responsibility for Psychology rejected the DIMPAC report because the report lacks the scientific rigor and even-handed critical approach necessary for APA imprimatur, and concluded that after much consideration, BSERP does not believe that we have sufficient information available to guide us in taking a position in this issue. Other areas in studies, Joyce Meurlo, a Dutch psychiatrist, was an early proponent of the concept of brainwashing. Medicide is a neologism he coined meaning killing of the mind. Meurlo's view was influenced by his experiences during the German occupation of his country during the Second World War and his work with the Dutch government and the American military in the interrogation of accused Nazi war criminals. He later immigrated to the United States and taught at Columbia University. His best-selling book, 1956 book, The Rape of the Mind, concludes by saying, the modern techniques of brainwashing and medicide, those perversions of psychology, can bring almost any man into submission and surrender. Many of the victims of thought control, brainwashing, and menticide that we have talked about were strong men, those whose minds and wills were broken and degraded. But although the totalitarians use their knowledge of the mind for vicious and unscrupulous purposes, our democratic society can and must use its knowledge to help man to grow, to guard his freedom, and to understand himself. Russian historian Daniel Romanvsky, who interviewed survivors and eyewitnesses in the 1970s, reported on what he called Nazi brainwashing of the people of Belarus by the occupying Germans during the Second World War, which took place through both mass propaganda and intense re-education. Especially in schools, Romanvsky's note that very soon most people had adopted the Nazi view that the Jews were an inferior race and were closely tied to the Soviet government, views that had not been at all common before the German occupation. Italy has had controversy over the concept of polego, a crime consisting in an absolute psychological and eventual physical domination of a person. The effect is said to be the alienation of the subject's freedom and self-determination, and the consequent negation of his or her personality. The crime of polego has rarely been prosecuted in Italy, and only one person was ever convicted. In 1981, an Italian court found that the concept is imprecise, lacks coherence, and is liable to arbitrary application. Recent scientific book publications in the field of the mental health, mental disorder, dissociative identity disorder, mental torture-based brainwashing by criminal networks and malevolent actors as a deliberate means to create multiple programmable personalities in a person to exploit this individual for sexual and financial reasons. Earlier scientific debates in the 1980s and 1990s about torture-based ritual abuse in cults was known as satanic ritual abuse, which was mainly viewed as a moral panic. Brainwashing, a synthesis of the Russian textbook of psychopolitics published by the Church of Scientology in 1955 about brainwashing. L. Ron Hubbard authored the text and alleged it was the secret manual written by Lavrenti Beria, the Soviet secret police chief, in 1936 when the FBI ignored him. Hubbard wrote again, stating that Soviet agents had on 3 occasions attempted to hire him to work against the United States and were upset about his refusal, and that one agent specifically attacked him using electroshock as a weapon. Kathleen Berry, co-founder of the United Nations NGO, the Coalition Against Trafficking in Women, prompted international awareness of human sex trafficking in her 1979 book, Female Sexual Slavery. In his 1986 book, Woman Abuse, Facts Replacing Myths, Louis Okun reported that Kathleen Berry shows in Female Sexual Slavery that forced female prostitution involves coercive control practices very similar to thought reform. In their 1996 book, Casting Stones, Prostitution and Liberation in Asia and the United States, Rita Nakashima Brock and Susan Brooks Thistlethwaite report that the methods commonly used by pimps to control their victims closely resembled the brainwashing techniques of terrorist and paranoid cults. In his 2000 book, Destroying the World to Save It, Sharingo, Apocalyptic Violence and the New Global Terrorism, Robert Lifton applied his original ideas about thought reform to Yom Shrinriko and the war on terrorism, concluding that in this context, thought reform was possible without violence or physical coercion. He also pointed out that in their efforts against terrorism, Western governments were also using some alleged mind control techniques. In her 2004 popular science book, Brainwashing, The Science of Thought Control, neuroscientist and psychologist Kathleen Taylor reviewed the history of mind control theories as well as notable incidents. In it, she theorized that persons under the influence of brainwashing may have more rigid neurological pathways, and that can make it more difficult to rethink situations or to be able to later reorganize these pathways. In 2006, Brainwash, The Secret History of Mind Control is a non-fictional book about the evolution of brainwashing from its origins in the Cold War through to today's war on terror. The author, Dominic Strepfield, uses formally classified documentation and interviews from the CIA, non-suggestive interviews of Sirhan over 11 years. Psychologist Daniel Brown provided evidence of Sirhan's preparation as a Martian candidate for the 1968 assassination of Senator Robert Kennedy. In popular culture and George Orwell's 1949 dystopian novel 1984, the main character is subjected to imprisonment, isolation, and torture to conform his thoughts and emotions to the wishes of the rulers of the book's fictional future totalitarian society. The torturer, representing the authorities, says, "We make the brain perfect before we blow it out. Everyone is washed clean." Orwell's vision influenced Hunter and is still reflected in the popular concept of brainwashing. In the 1950s, some American films were made that featured brainwashing of POWs, including The Rack, The Bamboo Prison, Toward the Unknown, and The Fearmakers. In 1956, Forbidden Area told the story of Soviet secret agents who had been brainwashed through classical conditioning by their own government so they wouldn't reveal their identities. In 1962, The Martian Candidate, based on the 1959 novel by Richard Codone, put brainwashing front and center by featuring a plot by the Soviet government to take over the United States by using a brainwashed sleeper agent for political assassination. The concept of brainwashing became popularly associated with the research of Russian psychologist Ivan Pavlov, which mostly involved dogs as subjects. The Martian Candidate, the head brainwasher, is Dr. Yen Lo of the Pavlov Institute. The science fiction stories of Cordwainer Smith, a U.S. Army officer who specialized in military intelligence and psychological warfare during the Second World War and the Korean War, depict brainwashing to remove memories of traumatic events as a normal and benign part of future medical practice. Brainwashing remains an important theme in science fiction. A subjury is corporate mind control, in which a future society is run by one or more business corporations that dominate society, using advertising and mass media to control the population's thoughts and feelings. Terry O'Brien mentioned mind control is such a powerful image that if hypnotism did not exist, then something similar would have to have been invented. The plot device is too useful for any writer to ignore. The fear of mind control is equally as powerful an image. Well, I think that gave us a lot of information about brainwashing and, you know, really, when you come to realize the power of our minds, the power of our thoughts, and everything influences us. And so, it's all for us individually to take our power over our own minds. And people who want to control our thoughts and control our perceptions of things are going to, dominate and control the ones who refuse to take their power over their own minds. And really, to me, doing your inner work, looking within yourself, because all the answers are within us. And we all have an experience and purpose to have, and we got to look within ourselves to find that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a video and a few pictures and have some questions and answers and conclusion.
You ever wonder why there's so many people that just can't wake up to what's really going on in the world? Your friends, your family, all those people, no matter how much evidence you put in front of them, they just can't accept it. Well, yeah, there is a few reasons for that, but the biggest reason is bigger than all of them. Can you guess what that reason is? Check this out. Did you ever really wonder why when we were growing up, they pushed so hard for us to get a higher education? I mean, getting a basic education is one thing, but even nowadays, more than half the jobs out there don't even require a formal education for you to be eligible. So if that's the case, why did they make higher learning and intelligence such an important thing? Well, there are so many studies out there now that show that the more your IQ goes up, the more your brain lacks in other departments. You isolate yourself from studying, so your social skills go down, which in return kills your self-esteem, depleting your confidence. You basically set yourself up for all kinds of disorders. It's like when they separate the smart kids from the regular kids in school. They're isolating them. But why? Well, when you add all those things together, you become one of the most easily influenced people on the planet. That's why there's so many teachers doing these crazy things. College professors crashing out. And even full college campuses just erupting in chaos. Why do you think certain intelligence agencies take recruiting trips to college campuses? To them, it's like having a bunch of educated zombies they can control. All right, now check this out. The old booger sugar was first invented in 1859. And we know back in the day it was considered a medicine. They even gave it to you for toothaches. Then all of a sudden they stopped using it and got rid of it because of its addictive properties, right? Well, fast forward to the late 70s and early 80s, and that's when this whole thing happened, when they basically reintroduced it back into the population. Do you really think they did that just for money? Or did they have something completely different in mind? And then there's always the good old McUltra. And if you haven't done any research on that, it wasn't a Canada and USA thing. The MK experiments were a global thing. And the things they did with that, they learned how to control some of the most wicked people on this planet. The one thing more valuable than money and gold is control. And they've had hundreds of years of practice on how to get it on a massive scale. And it's something that we've all had to deal with since birth. So when you're getting frustrated and feeling alone, or get your feelings hurt when your loved ones look at you weird, just remember, there's a reason they call this a Great Awakening. You were never supposed to be here. Us waking up was never part of the plan. And pretty soon, whether they like it or not, they will too. Because as we all know, sooner or later, the truth always comes out. Stay safe.
Well, I thought he shared some really good insights and stuff and information there that, there is a mind control thing that has been going on through the educational system and just controlling people, really, and their perceptions of things. And that's what I truly come to find. And really, you either take that power back yourself or somebody else is going to control you. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a few pictures. When the mind is calm, how quickly, how smoothly, how beautifully you will perceive everything. I got you. Just control your mind, said the universe. Think differently. Not all thoughts are yours. You're constantly swimming in a field of information with a human brain that works like a radio receiver. It receives ideas and thoughts based on the frequency you're tuned into. When people don't actively choose their thoughts, they then think what their environment tells them to think, and what they think they become. Those people aren't becoming who they're meant to be. They're becoming who they're told to be. Align your mind daily. Tune yourself to the frequency of who you're choosing to be. Your entire life happens within your mind, and you always have the power to transform your mind. When you really get this, everything will change. The power of the mind is incredible. If you believe you can be hurt, then you can be hurt. If you believe you cannot be hurt, then you won't be hurt. Did you know that the subconscious mind does not know anyone else but you? I'll bet you didn't. It has no conception of consciousness other than your own. I explain to students that when we criticize others or find fault, our minds think we are speaking about ourselves. That's why it's so important to become aware of the power of our words, because often our words and feelings that are directed outwardly can rebound and cause havoc in our own lives. Of course, we do those things unconsciously. The majority of people do not realize that our thoughts and words are influencing and imprinting our own minds. Well, there you go. You know, the power of our mind, the power of our subconscious mind that we have, and just, that we can, we pick up on, the frequency that we're on, the thoughts and ideas of things. And so it is really up to us to make those changes, to become aware. And that's the most important thing that I can see here is becoming aware and doing that inner work and changing that frequency. So we're going to go ahead and ask a few questions here. What does mind control do? Techniques of influence or override a person's free will, affecting their thoughts, emotions, and actions through psychological manipulation like fear, confusion, or conditioning, or emerging technologies like brain-computer interfaces to achieve compliance, alter brain behavior, or even control biological functions, seen in context from cults and political abuse to potential medical applications. What is another word for mind control? Brainwashing, coercive persuasion, or thought control. How can you protect yourself from mind control? Learning the warning signs and asking the right questions. How do I start controlling my mind? Understand the mind-body connection. Embrace the moment. Shift your focus. Practice meditation. Use priming. Visualize. Recognize your limiting beliefs. So, my conclusion really is that we do have the power to control our own minds and our own thoughts. And if we are not consciously and intentionally doing such a thing, then the ones who are aware of such things will try to control and manipulate you. That's just the rule of the game, that you got to figure out who you are and know who you are and know that you are a divine being and that you have the power over this vehicle, this mind, and your thoughts and what frequency you're on. And fear is going to keep people in a state of manipulating them into a direction that they may not want to go into. So it's up to us to do that inner work and to raise our frequency and stuff. And when you come up to a different vibration and frequency, and you really are taking your power back over your mind and your thoughts, it puts you in a totally different vibrational state. And so all I can really say about this is that I'm glad I'm doing it, to be in the world, but not a part of it, to not accepting that information, that it controls your thoughts, and the beliefs and giving your energy to such a thing. Whereas when you come back to right here, right now, this is all that matters, this is all that exists, being present, being in the moment, and just experiencing life and doing your own life, doing yourself, working on yourself, because you have no power over what anyone else is going to do or what anyone else is going to think. And the more of us that are like, I'm the creator of my own reality, I have this here to work on, this is my experience, what do I want to experience? It makes such a big difference when you deprogram and you put better stuff in intentionally. And, if we're the creators, if we're the manifestors, or we have this power within us with our minds and our thoughts and our emotions, there's so much for us to learn. And Earth really is a school. It is really a place to learn about energy and stuff, and to create even our realities and stuff. So, the best thing that for me to do is to put it in for me. If I'm the creator of my reality, then learning as much as I can about manifestation is powerful. Learning about energy and frequency and my emotions and all these things, self-growth, self-care. And that is the best way that I have come to, is to focus on me and my life and let go of the world. Let go of it is Babylon. And that's the truth. It's everybody's shadows, because really what's in here comes out here. And so it's just, whether that has been done through mind control, and whatever you look at, whatever you focus on, and even reading some of those books. And I went through that to listen to some of that. That stuff has been going on for a long time, and it's like it just keeps on going. It's just a new era, and so the thing is that they can't control you when you shut it down. And that's the truth, is that how are they going to control your thoughts to create a storm or a war or whatever, when you raise up your frequency and don't give that stuff your attention, your energy? And it makes a big difference. And when enough of us come together, we can create a whole new reality because we're only projecting it from our minds, from our consciousness. We're just experiencing it. It is just being projected out. And so as we change our mind and our thoughts, we can change the reality and what is existing and happening, and just not living in fear. We have the power to have a whole new reality. So we either give our power away when we're not taught it, that we have the power of such things. Then, if you don't know who you are, then others will do it for you. And so you kind of come into something and, usually they're unaware and have no idea either. And then it just keeps on going. So, but we're here changing things, and things are changing. So that's the best thing that we can do, is be that one. Be the one that recreates and reinvents from the inside. Because our world, our reality, what we are experiencing has a ripple effect, and it will change things. To change our vibration, change our thoughts, make those changes. And those changes come from within us, taking our power back. And then energetically, you end up in a shield. And that's the truth. That, people like that don't really cross my path. And if they are in my path, they will never talk to me about that nonsense, because I know it's a bunch of nonsense. And I'm not going to give my energy or my focus to such a thing. That is time for us to come to a point to recreate reality. And we have the power to do such a thing. We do. The only, whatever reality and experiences is what people are having. They're creating it. And so that's why there's so much confusion, is because they're creating it. Ego mind, divine mind. So we get to decide, connect with our inner selves to the divine, or stay in the ego mind, and it's all our shadows playing out. Fear, control. And so we have to get back in touch with our bodies, our minds, and spirit. And that's how we defeat that beast system that's out there. And so, and when you start doing it individually, like I said, it makes a big difference when you just clear out your mind and really focus on you and your own life. So take one day at a time. Take one day at a time and take your power back, because we have the power to have a better life and a better reality, and it starts from within us. And so believe in ourselves and make the moves that we have to make on an individual basis, and then a collective. And the world's changing, and it will continue to change as more and more wake up to their divinity and their power that they have within them. So if you want any help with taking your power back or healing, I offer that. You can go ahead and reach out to me. I will leave my email and links in the bio. And so enjoy your day, enjoy your life, take your power back. It's yours, and enjoy it. So we're going to play the song Mountain. I thought was very fitting for this one. And so we are going to go ahead and end with this song. Love you.
Most people don't realize this, but we're not all living in the same reality. We're all walking this earth, but we're living in different dimensions. When you're in the lower dimensions, you believe in a God outside of you. You say things like, "Thank you, Jesus," and "Thank you, God up there." And that's okay, because that's the level you're at. It's part of the journey. But when you go through a Kundalini awakening, when your spirit truly begins to rise, something shifts. You don't just believe in Christ, you become aware of the Christ within you. You stop thanking something outside of you, and you begin to awaken to the power that was always inside you. Christ consciousness isn't about religion. It's a frequency, a higher awareness. It's when you realize God lives in you. You see, people argue because they live in different dimensions, and they don't understand each other. Some still live in the 3D where everything is fear, control, separation. You're over here trying to speak light, truth, oneness, and they look at you like you're crazy. That's because you're not speaking the same language of consciousness. When you awaken, you rise. You begin to see the world through God's eyes, not man's. And that's why we say not everyone will get you. Not everyone is supposed to, because not everyone has risen yet. But your job is not to prove it, your job is to live it. Let your vibration speak louder than your voice. Thank you for following us at Awakening the Empaths, where truth is spoken without fear.
In the shadows where you just learn to fight, made to live for this moment, to stand up and on the top. While you crawl and you climb, I have carved out this line that I walk into victory. Yeah, I'll tell you one time, look me straight in the eyes, it has always been me. So go tell it on the mountain, who's gonna be the king? Go tell it on the mountain, gotta make 'em all believe. Yeah, the darkness is fading, the battle's been raging, the war has already been won. Go tell it on the mountain, oh, the mountain. Who's gonna be the king? Tearing down all the statues that you built this life around. I'm gonna raise up our banners and watch your world crumble down. Like the phoenix inside, from these ashes I'll rise, till everyone bows beneath. Yeah, I'll tell you one time, look me straight in the eyes, it has always been me. Go tell it on the mountain, who's gonna be the king? Yeah, go tell them on the mountain, oh, you gotta make 'em all believe. Yeah, the darkness is fading, the battle's been raging, the war has already been won. Go tell it on the mountain, oh, the mountain. Who's gonna be the king? Oh, you gotta tell them on the mountain, you gotta make 'em all believe. You gotta tell them on the mountain, so they can all see who's gonna be the king.
You ain't got a chance. Trying to go to war with the champ. Trying to go back, but you can't. Now it's only one king, I'm the man. Anybody wanna step to the plate? Better go and get one thing straight. I don't freeze and I won't hesitate. Matter of fact, y'all been running in place, can't run from your fate. Who's gonna stop me? 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 Yeah, who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? So electrical, charged up, shocking every second like a billion volts. Now we hyperactive, you don't want no static. I was born for battle, finger on the pulse. Y'all paper plastic, well I go Jurassic. So far from average, running with the raptors like a slay Goliath, steady moving silence. So in other words, I am the boss. Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? I am the boss. Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? Yeah, who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me? I just look at the world, such a sight to behold. Most of the stories will never get told. Been on my own for so long, I don't know what else to do, pray I don't lose my soul. Walking through fire till I'm numb to the coast. Coming for everything, diamonds and gold. Nothing to lose, all in my control. And I'm about to go savage, so don't say I won't. And I'm destined for greatness. Ain't no fabrication, ain't no time for waiting. Super fundamental, I can see them hating. Ain't a scrimmage, steady winning. I ain't quitting from the start to finish. Been in motion, this is physics. Never slowing, never getting with it. I ain't quitting from the start to finish. And I gotta wonder, really fine slipping in. Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me?